I'll say something else that I find kind of interesting as well. If you know of St. Malachy and St. Columcille's prophecies, well, actually, just St. Malachy's. What's his name? I can't remember. Tom Horn, that's right. He wrote a book. He died a year ago, or maybe even early this year. Wrote a book about the prophecies of St. Malachi. I got a book from back in the 1970s. I had it for many years. So it was interesting though to see, but I was just citing the prophecies with very little commentary. But Tom Horn's book, was an evangelical Protestant, not a nasty person, not like some can be, against the Catholic Church, but didn't believe in Catholicism. But let's hope that in his last moments he was converted to the Catholic faith, because I think he meant well. He saw Benedict as, in his calculation, the last pope, I think. But we can't say that unequivocally, because when you've got some who are claimants to the papacy in the line but are not really popes, it can mess up the calculation a bit. But what I'd say is this: here we are. We know the Catholic faith is something from which more Catholics have apostatized now in our generation than have ever done so before, perhaps even compared with the Arian crisis of the 4th century. So Europe and its daughter nations are nations of apostasy from the faith. And within the Church, what has been building up since the Second Vatican Council, not because of the Council, some would say it's partly because of it, at least that could be an argument. You could never say it's because of it, because this didn't break out just in the 1960s. This has been brewing for a long time. Go back to 1864 and the Syllabus of Errors by Blessed Pope Pius IX. That's a sign that we knew stuff not just on the outside, but stuff within us was going on, that we had to combat, and the popes did. All the way, with greater or lesser success. The apogee of success would be Pope St. Pius X. But it carried on the war against internal enemies until 1958 and the election of John the 23rd. Well, if we look at the present situation, I remember when Benedict was, before Benedict's election, I was asking a friend if, does he know anybody who's in any cardinals who are Italian with the name Peter? Because the last cardinal, perhaps I should have had the book with me, is, the last pope is called Peter the Roman in the list of St. Malachy, which goes from about the time of 1100 when he was on pilgrimage to Rome. He collapsed and had this vision. So we get to Peter the Roman, and then the holy city is destroyed and the just and terrible judge comes to judge the world. So that's God. Well, I noticed there was an obscure priest called Pietro Parolin back at the time Benedict was elected. I'll keep my eye on him. This is Italian, you see. And Peter the Roman suggests it must be someone who's an Italian, the name Peter. Lo and behold, this man is Cardinal Secretary of State. Now that's a powerful position, and it's not unusual for the Cardinal Secretary of State to become the subsequent Pope after the death of the Pope for whom he is Cardinal Secretary of State. This happened with Eugenio Pacelli, the Cardinal Secretary of State of Pope Pius XI in the 1930s. Pope Pius XI from 1922 to 1939, dies in 1939. Cardinal Pacelli becomes Pope Pius XII in 1939 until 1958. So if Pietro Parolin becomes Pope, we got a Roman called Peter at a time when the world is beginning to heat up and go up in flames potentially. It's like a coming together of various things. St. Malachy's prophecies, the state of the world, the state of the Catholic Church, unprecedented in 2,000 years, and Maria Valtorta's prophecy. There are other things as well I could go into, but never mind, that's enough for now, about what suggests things are coming to a head. People are alive in 1943 who will be there when the seven thunders sound. Chapter 10 of St. John's Apocalypse. So let us be alive to what is going on around us. It is not usual. It is not the usual set of conflicts. With that, I hope there is a next time for us to meet again.